And so will Dr. Bruce and I, next time we hop on here, we will be very...
We'll get those bugs and gremlins sorted out. No promises when Mercury goes retrograde, but we'll try
that. Dr. Bruce, I remember asking you about Mercury retrograde because we're not in retrograde at the moment, so I can't use it for an excuse.
Conversation for years, cussing Mercury retrograde.
I remember asking you, do you believe in Mercury retrograde? And do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I said I've seen the effects of it. Having probably coming from the left brain, the scientific bent of mind, saying, "Well, how can this be? How can astrology or the stars affect us? From a mechanistic standpoint." I have trouble processing that. But when you see that, and it seems just like the full moon.
Yes, indeed.
Psychologists and psychiatrists know it has no effect. For years, I owned and operated a chain of hypnotherapy clinics. It ended up being the largest network of hypnotherapy clinics in the nation. It was here in Southern California. I think we had 18 clinics, 21 staff therapists, and we ran these big ads in the newspapers, and Monday morning the phones would be ringing off the hook, and we knew when there was a full moon because of the questions that we would get.
Yes, there's no question that we...
By anybody to quarrel with me on that, because I believe there is Mercury retrograde and the effects of a full moon.
I have to admit, though, it wasn't Mercury retrograde this time. It's this very new process of streaming live to multiple platforms. Yeah. But anyway, we're on YouTube now. So hello, YouTube family. And hello to everyone in Dr. Bruce's group and in my group on Facebook. We are going to reintroduce ourselves because some of you have only just gotten on. It's taken us a little while to get this flowing. On screen right now, you can see Coco. She is moderating. I don't think she meant to put that on, but she's moderating this for us. And there you go. You can say hi, Coco.
Hi, everyone.
So anyway, she's popped on there to say a quick hello, and we'll let her go now. But just to recap, so someone on our channel is saying hello from Nashville. Well, hello back to you. And we also have a couple of sharings and questions coming up, which we're going to look at responding to in a moment. So please comment. You can say hi and tell us where you're coming to us or joining us from. And you are most welcome to put any questions that you may have in the comments. And we will see what we can do to get to them. In the meantime, while that's happening, Dr. Bruce and I will tell you a little bit about ourselves again. So with these live streams that we will be doing, we are planning to bring these to you fortnightly and certainly monthly and most likely fortnightly. And we want to be covering a whole lot of topics around past lives and reincarnation, and also the afterlife, where nothing will be off bounds. No question is silly. No sharing is too much. So that is something. But let me just reintroduce Dr. Bruce. Please also put your name in the comment. Tell us where you're from. That would be wonderful. And I'll give you a little shout out. So I am Dr. Toni Reilly, and I am the author of Awake, The Purpose of Life and Why You're Here. And Dr. Bruce is...
I am Dr. Bruce Kaloski, by trade a past life regression therapist and a clinical hypnotherapist since the mid-70s, 1970s. And I am the author of Your Journey Was Never Meant to End, a compelling case for reincarnation.
So Dr. Bruce's book is a comprehensive dictionary that you could get and discover all about past lives and reincarnation. He's collated a lot of information in his book. So, and my my background is a little more spiritual than clinical, and my approach to past life, facilitating past lives and in between, is that way as well. But my book is about the purpose of life, because I outlined the purpose of life, which is not what anyone thinks it is, through documenting my own life so that you can understand what it's really about. So all of these things that we're doing when people go in between lives, when we facilitate it, or they spontaneously recall for themselves, or their child says something, all of these things are part of one's purpose in life. So, but what we will be able to do, given that I've been working in this for 2 decades, a little more actually, Dr. Bruce, 50 years he has in this realm. And so we have a lot of information that we can share with you, a lot of case studies, and yeah, lots going on. So I just want to break for a second and say that hello, Robin. She's coming to us from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. And Dr. Bruce, where are you coming to us from?
From Huntington Beach, California, also known as Surf City, USA.
Surf City, here we come. Isn't that where the Beach Boys did their thing?
Well, they did their stuff here, yes.
Yeah.
And Jan and Dean also.
Oh, look out. That's fantastic. I'm coming to you from the capital of Australia at the moment, Canberra. I'm here staying with my kids at the moment. Hence, Coco is doing our moderation today. And we also have Sandy from Portland. Hi, Sandy. And Shay is on. She's coming to us from Melbourne, Australia. So we have a few people on here with us. There's more. They might be a little bit shy to say, but yeah.
No.
But this is really good. Please go ahead and keep putting in your name and where you're from. We got Kerry from Melbourne as well. I'm wondering if that's Kerry, my friend, who will most likely join us on here in the future talking about mediumship. So, but that will be a little bit for a show in the future. And we've got Martin from Toowoomba. Hi. We've got someone from Yorktown in Virginia. Yay. Alice. Hello, Alice. Susan from near Albury. Dana from Wisconsin. Yay. We're from all over the world. And we've got Anne from Sydney. And we've got Rocco from the Gold Coast. There we go. It's good. It's wonderful to have you. If I've missed anyone, and we've got Sandy from Portland, Oregon. So many. And we've got Rosen from Melbourne, Australia, and from Sydney. I think and someone's coming to us from the deep freeze in Alberta. It's summer here in Australia, so we're in the opposite. It's all sunny and lovely.
Well, speaking about deep freezes, someone came in from Wisconsin, and that's not exactly the garden spot of the country at this time of the year.
Would it be snowing there?
And from Vermont also, lovely Vermont.
Oh, nice. 50 for 3 days. Minus 50.
Oh.
Fahrenheit,
probably.
Wow.
Where is that? Put in where you're from.
Vermont, I think. Wow. Well, it's so wonderful to have you all. And if you have any questions, you are most welcome to put them in the chat. And Dr. Bruce and I will have a go at answering a few of them. Our main objective today was to introduce ourselves and let you know what we're planning to do on here. I might just say again, given that it took us a little while to get going, let's see. I had a little list to tell you what we were going to be covering. These are just a few topics. It's endless, really. We can talk about this so much, but these were a few things that we plan to cover in the next show and the ones preceding that. After that.
In Calgary.
Oh, someone's in Calgary.
No, that's the minus 50.
Minus 50 in Calgary. I have to tell you, very close friend who was involved in this from the beginning when I first started. Her name's Shawnee, and she is from Calgary. And she lives in Australia because she said that minus 50 is just a lot for her.
I'm complaining that it's in the 50s here in California, and so I'm a wimp. But minus 50, oh, I couldn't imagine.
That's wild. It really is. Gosh. Okay, so a couple of the topics that we're going to cover on the show. The intention is that we'll have an umbrella theme each show. And before that, we'll also encourage you via email and in our Facebook groups and the like, and the YouTube community section to ask your questions around that theme. So why do we reincarnate? To experience or learn? That will be something that we'll talk a lot about. Let me add that Dr. Bruce has a lot of references from his substantial research and his fabulous memory of a lot of the other work that people have done in these realms. Don't you, Dr. Bruce?
Yeah, I do. So we're also going to be looking at things like the multiverse, alternate universes, parallel lives, alternate timelines. Look at some of the work that has been done and research that's done by Dr. Lanza. I think his name is Jane, who's the theory of biocentrism, and he's also a believer in the multiverse. We're looking at the work, some great work that's coming out of England, which is Sir Roger Penrose, and with his partner in the United States at the University of Arizona, Stuart Hammeroth, on parts of the brain that might actually be the receptacles and the storage of consciousness. We'll also be looking at the subject of consciousness itself. One of the that I'm often asked about on my group is it possible to reincarnate into the past? Are our lives in a linear sense, chronologically one after the other, or is it a whole mumbo jumbo? What is the nature of time in the afterlife?
Well, see, all of these things are going to be up for discussion, and we'll be coming from my perspective, Dr. Bruce's perspective. Some things they're the same, some things are very different, and it makes for a lively discussion. And of course, then we'll have yours in there as well. So it's going to be really, really exciting. So Dr. Bruce has a lot of information that other people have done, as he just said, and much more than he's just said. So we can pull from all areas. Me personally, my favorite area is the therapeutic value of why we reincarnate, and also why hello Karen from Sydney who just joined, why we reincarnate as far as the purpose of life goes. So all of these things, they'll all end up being discussed and coming in. Another of the umbrella themes that we will cover is karma a con job? And Dr. Bruce came up with that title, which I think is really fun and fabulous. Is karma a con job? We'll see. Why do children remember their past lives?
And why do they forget their past lives?
Yeah, I like that you put that caveat on there. It's great. So we'll discuss that in depth. So if you know any moms or dads or anyone out there, or maybe you remember it from when your kids were little, or they've recently said something, that'll be a really exciting.
But also, Toni and I spoke about this the other night. We're also going to ask some of our clients to pop in and talk about what they were able to accomplish through past life therapy, or whatever types of sessions that they did with us. So we'll be talking with them.
We will. We mentioned a moment ago, one of these topics was going to be spontaneous past life memories. And we have many fabulous recalls where people have recalled in phenomenal detail and even verified some of them from spontaneous memories coming to them from their past lives. So it's something that we'll be able to get on some guests who you may be thinking, well, that's happened to me. But one way or another, we're going to bring you a lot of interesting information, people who've had experiences themselves, and of course, as Dr. Bruce just said, people from our own files, our own case studies who have had, some people have miraculous recoveries, healings, and or just fascinating stories when they recall past lives, and they become, well, certainly they have an individual experience, but a lot of it is very interesting in that sometimes what we would think might be horrific or like we can't imagine it, but then when they see it from this higher perspective that happens when they see it in a past life or in between lives, then to have someone express that to you, what it was like for them to have that switch or experience that switch. These are the types of guests we'd like to have on, or we will have on, to help you comprehend the possibilities. And there's another one. We'll have many more than this, but these were just a few we thought we'd mention tonight or today. Is reincarnation mechanical or spiritual? That will be another thing. Yes. So maybe something that we would also love to hear from you is about the timing. So it was hard for us to pick a time where we could get the US, Australia, and the UK and Canada. I think Canada's similar to the US. So hence we picked this time, which makes it Sunday evening, a bit later on the other coast. Is it East Coast of America? And in Australia, it's lunchtime. So it's lunchtime on Monday, where it's Sunday evening on the other side of the world. We're in the future over here in this side of the world. So yeah. Now I think it's time for a question. What have we got here? Ooh, okay. So Karen has asked, what are our thoughts on ancestral ties, illness, etc., that continues on through the generations? I know that I've got thoughts on this. Dr. Bruce, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, that's. I'm on the sidelines about this because when we look at ancestral ties, I believe a lot of that has to do with genetics. I really probably don't know as much about it as you do. I do have someone on my group who's more of an expert in this than I am, certainly. More conversant with it than I am. But what is your take on ancestral ties?
Oh, I'm just busting to tell you. Karen, this is my take. The first thing is, even our genetics are predetermined for what we're going to be doing in each lifetime that we incarnate into. So when we talk about ancestral ties, the first thing that you might discover when you start exploring your past lives is you may well have been that person. You may well have been your grandmother. You may well have been the great-grandmother or whomever. So we may well have been actually incarnating through the ancestral ties. So there's definitely, that's a possibility, and it's something that you see when people delve deeply into their past lives. So that's one thing. But as far as an illness that maybe continues through the generations, there will be a purpose for that to happen. And it may well be that when it started, because if we talk in linear terms, which is how humanity is working, we are working through a linear historical process. So what we see is maybe the soul of, I'm just going to pull this out of the air, the soul of my great-grandfather may have come in to work on Alzheimer's, let's say. And then we might find that the next generation also has it, and the next generation. But over time, maybe there comes more understanding of it and that kind of thing.
But there's a biological reason for that, is there not?
Yeah.
Certain illnesses skip generations, but it's still genetic.
Well, yes. And these are the things that will come into play when people start to research all of this, but certainly there is a purpose as to why it may follow down through ancestral ties. And Karen, you know what? The thing is, the best way to find out for certain if our ancestral ties, if we were actually those people or people within our family were, is to recall it for yourself. That's the way to know for sure, because Dr. Bruce and I and all of our friends or people who are interested in this, we can all share what we have experienced ourselves or what we've observed. But to know for sure, you do past life regression or go in between yourself, and that's where your soul answers these questions directly, and you can meet those spirits of the ancestors and find out for sure.
There's always a question. Do we tend to reincarnate within our family lines? And I wouldn't use the word tend. I think we can choose to. Then we can also choose to skip it. I think our soul can get to the point where it says, too much togetherness. Okay, I want to skip it for a couple of lifetimes, and then we do.
That's
we may be
interesting.
within our soul group. We might stay within our soul group or within the extended. There's also something called an extended soul group, but not within our family lines.
We will, the soul groups and the soul families is something we will get into in depth. We'll have a whole show on that. I think people are very intrigued to know who is their soul family, how does it all work, and it's something that we love talking about as well. So we'll bring that to you in depth. If anyone has any other questions, please put them in the chat so that we can have a little answer for you. And
somebody made a note, though. Somebody did say something. Just as Facebook user. My recurring memories started about 4 years of age. In particular, seeing and feeling a scene where I was frightened by the noise of sirens or the alarm that sounds during war. People were people were screaming and felt that we were hiding. I could hear and even see and hear warplanes above.
Wow.
Okay.
So, Dr. Bruce, that's not dissimilar to an experience that you've had and your father had, right?
Yes. But what I want to bring out is this could very well be an example of spontaneous recall.
Exactly.
And one way that we can know memories and also dreams, by the way, recurring dreams, is if the memory or the dream never changes. The same scenario plays out from each time we remember it or each time we dream it. When it happens that way, it's more likely to be a past life other than unintentional fabrication.
We're going to talk about unintentional fabrication in another show. We have a big discussion about that. But this user, we can't see your name, sorry, so I have to call you Facebook user. But I think, as Dr. Bruce said, what you've shared with us here, and you've said that this came to you before you were familiar with past lives, which of course gives it such credibility.
It gives it a lot of credence.
To yourself as well.
And she said, he said, that is a recurring memory.
Yeah.
So as I said, I'm make the assumption then that if nothing changes in this memory, then it probably is an example of spontaneous recall, valid spontaneous recall.
Oh, yes, that's right. I just would like to say that there's a lovely comment coming in, and it says, hello, my soul twin, and it's from my friend Pete. And I have the cutest story that I would love to tell you, if you don't mind, just because it's a bit of a soul connection thing, and maybe just gives you a little idea of how this works in life. I'm going to tell you that in a moment. Before I do, please put your questions in the chat if you have any, and we'll answer a few more questions today. And also, for next time that we're live, you are most welcome to let us know on our social media, Dr. Bruce Kaloski and Dr. Toni Reilly. We're on all of the social medias. You can put your questions there as well, and we'll make sure that we note them for next time.
They can also, if you're on Facebook, then they're probably on Messenger. They can also DM, direct message us with these. So,
Yes.
what is the best name handle for you for them to send a message that you would most likely to check?
Oh, I check them all, but the messenger on the Facebook page or Facebook, which is under Dr. Toni Reilly.
Okay, and mine, the one that is that I'm most likely to check is actually not even my professional one. It's the personal page, and that would be Bruce E. Kaloski, and that's easy to find because I don't think there's anyone else on Facebook with that name, Bruce.
Yeah. So that's where you can
That's
contact.
that's where I'm more likely to check. Yes.
Okay, that's good. Thanks, Dr. Bruce. Plus, also, please say your website because obviously you can be emailed as well.
Oh yes, they can do it that way. They can email through the website. The website is drkaloski.com. DrKaloski.com. My email is drkaloski@gmail.com. So
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Bruce. That's great. Also, and my website is Toni Reilly Institute. You can contact me through that, or you can email Dr. Toni at Toni Reilly Institute. Okay, you ready for my cute story? So I think it's cute. So back in, is a long time ago now, I'm thinking 15 years ago. Forgive me if I'm exaggerating, but I'm thinking it was about 15 years ago. I was supposed to go and see a client in this center that I was working in. And I don't know if I had been a day behind, but I was not off to work. I was sitting at my computer working in my pajamas. And the lady from the center phoned me and said, "Your client's here." I'm like, "What?" I'm still in my pajamas. And before that had happened, I had shuffled tarot cards and this King of Pentacles popped out. But anyway, I shuffled it back in and I was working away. Anyway, I said to the lady that called me, Barbara, her name was, I said, "Can you ask him if he will wait? I can be there in half an hour. Or would he like to reschedule?" And she said, "Oh, he'll wait." So anyway, I got ready and went down there to the center and I met Pete and we did a past life session. And we just bonded. We bonded and we have been such good friends ever since. And Pete helped me out in a big way with a documentary many years ago as well. And yeah, we're very soul connected and we love that. So thanks for jumping on, Pete. We got a question.
yeah, I see one down there.
So this question comes from Joan, and it is
Can
this.
you recall through?
Can you recall through dreams, or is it just visions in real life, or do you need a facilitated session? I've got a response. Dr. Bruce, would you like to respond first, or?
I'll take a shot. No, you could, as we discussed before, you can recall through dreams, or through what you call them visions. And just repeat what I said. The indication that it might be a spontaneous memory is if the dream or the vision does not change. Because obviously, if something really did happen, the events of it do not change. So that's one indication. That's one indication that it was. And do you need a facilitated session? A facilitated session would help more of the details come out. In other words, having someone guide you through this, and we may end up going down certain rabbit holes that you wouldn't if you're doing this by yourself, because someone who is a experienced practitioner of this knows the questions to ask and knows how to prompt you to get more information than you might have from just a spontaneous. So we take it spontaneous and we turn it into information gleaned from a past life regression.
Yes, that is all. I'm in agreement with that. I know in my years of practice, a lot of people have a recurring dream. It persists and they only see so much. So, for example, the dream is the same. As Dr. Bruce said, it doesn't change. And they might see themselves walking a certain way and then they come to a bridge and it stops, but they feel afraid. It can be any number of things, but this kind of thing. And what happens is either they receive a dream with more detail that helps them know why they were being shown the dream, or what happens in the case of therapy, they reach out for past life regression to overcome this dream that keeps being shown to them, this recurring dream. And then what, obviously, because it's facilitated, we get all of the information and find out what what was the dream trying to tell them. Because when they're having that recurring dream, their soul is trying to tell them something, or their subconscious is trying to
And also to get more details, because we
not sell them.
get techniques through what Toni calls guided meditation, what I call hypnosis. We can rewind. We can go back a few minutes. For instance, walking over the bridge. Okay, we can walk them back a few minutes before that. We can walk them ahead a few minutes after that, and we can enlarge the scene.
Yes, it's true. We can. I do think we have another question. Oh, okay. There's a couple of questions here. The first one is, do our parents not parents, I'm sorry, do our pets reincarnate? I'm going to tell you that in my experience, a lot of people seem to see their pets as a pet in a past life even. So I believe that pets have a soul. And in my opinion, when you look into particularly a dog, but any pet really, or any animal, you can see that they are much more than a dog, for example. So yes, they certainly do seem to reincarnate as well. Maybe I feel like they probably support. We'll cover this also as a caveat theme at some stage. Dr. Bruce, do you want to add to that?
I totally believe that. I devote a chapter in my book to that question on animal reincarnation. I call it a reboot for Rover, and it's I believe there's a very good chance that the little doggy I have right now could very possibly be the reincarnation of one that we had to put down in 2014, and who was I'd have to call my soulmate at that time. He was my little buddy. And I wonder if I have my little buddy back, because he does do some of the same things. He's probably a little more annoying than the guy was, but he's young. So and Coco knows him because she was here when he was very, very young. On another side note, I have done. You probably have too, Toni. I have done between lives regression, where I take them. The way I do it between lives is I take them to the lifetime lived directly prior to this one, then through the death scene, and then in being met by their soul guide or whoever. And I was on about 2 or 3 months ago. I was doing that, and I asked my client, now who's meeting you? Tears started streaming down her face. It was her little dog.
Oh,
a little dog.
It's beautiful.
Who met her on the other side.
Yeah, so lovely.
Yeah.
Doggies, unconditional. We've got another question. I'm going to put it up there. Oh, so someone asked, Alexandra asked, what are the benefits of past life regression? That's a great question, and thank you for asking. But before I respond to that, I also want to say you're welcome, Shay. We love sharing all of this information. So what are the benefits of past life regression? Dr. Bruce, you are most welcome to chime in, but I feel like the benefits of past life regression are there's so many. I feel like when we're communicating with our soul, which is what past life regression is doing, then we have access to everything that we need to understand about our life now, everything that's happened to us, our circumstances. All of this information is able to be made sense to us if we undergo past life regression. Of course, if you have a physical symptom, emotional symptoms, or psychological symptoms, we are able to sometimes, if not always, receive an answer that heals it. So there's so many more benefits even than that. Dr. Bruce, would you like to add to that?
We can help. We can help expiate fears, phobias, feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, low self-confidence.
Yeah.
Let's help a person recall talents, latent talents and abilities that they might have had from another life, and help them transfer it over into this life. Learn why they're drawn to certain relationships of this life that may or may not be destructive. And what prompted that, what incidents in the past life prompted that, and by understanding better why they're drawn to these things, they can make the decision to not be drawn to them anymore. Knowledge is power, as they say.
It's quite amazing how the past life regression works, because once that knowledge is presented to you, so you're aware of it, you don't really have to do anything after that, because something switches. It's like a light bulb moment goes off, and then your perspective changes naturally, and you don't have to do anything more than just continue living and notice that you're behaving differently now. You're reacting differently to, or not reacting at all, perhaps, depending what's going on for you. So it's a very rewarding therapy. It's a very rewarding experience. And
you don't even need to believe in reincarnation to get benefits from that.
That's true.
You could just look upon it as a pure imagination, or as what in psychological terms they call psychodrama, as just being a story that your mind is telling you to help you in a particular situation. So people get relief and they don't even believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, it goes beyond belief, doesn't it? Plus, also, one other thing that happens with past life regression is, or any of those transcendent experiences actually, is most people will lose the fear of death, because there's this inherent knowing after that we are going on, and that there's much more to us than just this life that we're living now. Yeah, so very exciting. Thanks for asking that, Alexandra. We've been on here for an hour.
Yeah, we have.
I think that, well, actually, it took us a little while to get started because the live stream didn't quite go as smoothly as planned, but we got there in the end, and it's so wonderful to have you all. We've just got another comment here that I'd like to read out. I think we'll finish up in about 5 or 10 minutes, so please bear with us, because, and if you have another question, do put it there. So for the moment, we've got past life regression is amazing. It's a must experience, and it helps tremendously. Just be like Nike and do it. Yes, just do it. I think that I do think that a lot of people are a little bit wary, probably maybe worried that it won't work, or just worried about what they might see, who they might have been. But if I could just say, please try not to worry, because no matter who or what you've been or done in a past life, whatever you're shown by your soul will absolutely be to make this life better. So you do not need to worry about what you'll be shown.
And if you shouldn't see it, your higher self will not let you see it. So it's perfectly safe.
Exactly.
When you're in the hands, particularly in the hands of an experienced practitioner.
Yeah. So just trust. I mean, just trust is a really hard thing to do, but
that's the key word that I tell the people. The secret to receiving benefit is trust.
Yeah.
Trust yourself, trust your imagination, trust your instincts.
Yeah. Yeah, true. So we've got another comment here. Let me read it. It's from Karen. Karen, I've been healing ancestral lines, one being the mother wound. During this, it has come to me. My daughter was my mother in a past life. I felt reluctant to put in boundaries with her. I feel there is healing for all, as well as past loved ones. Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Oh, sorry, I didn't read it all. I feel there's healing for all as well as past loved ones to heal the lineage. May I ask both of your take on this? So this is Karen's asking this question, Dr. Bruce. What have you got to say regarding the mother wound?
Yeah,
And yeah,
that's fascinating. I can see how that could happen because in this case, her daughter was her mother, right? So so psychologically, there are certain things that you don't do with your mother. That certain ways you don't treat towards your mother, and she's allowing that to influence and to interfere with her relationship with the daughter in this lifetime. And I think by she knows that, so she can very well, if she's doing that, she can very well overcome something like that. Now, sometimes I will say this: sometimes you might need a little bit of therapy above and beyond the past life therapy to get you over the hump in something like this too.
yes. Thank you, Dr. Bruce. Gosh, I feel like what you've mentioned here, Karen, with you felt reluctant to put in boundaries, and then you've discovered that she was your mother
It's
in a past
fascinating.
life.
Yeah.
Those are that. It sounds like such a simple thing, but to understand in a past life that she was your mother, it makes sense why this was an issue. So I think that any sort of recognition of people in a past life or and how they're connecting to you now is always beneficial to know, because it definitely is helpful to understand the dynamics of now, and it also helps you to be able to adjust your behavior. In your case, potentially setting some boundaries or having a different kind of dynamic with your daughter. But I feel like the mother and daughter relationship, it goes so deep and there's so many variations of it. But to know that you've been together before and you'll be together again is it puts a different spin on when we do have I guess challenging relationships with people. So one way or another, that past life regression is going to be helpful and be able to change things, the way that you're doing things in life, and adjust the dynamics of relationships. So yeah, we've got one more here. Sharon's asking, or would it be beneficial to connect with our higher selves as a practice prior to having a PLR experience? So past life regression experience with PLR. So Dr. Bruce, what says you?
No, not necessarily. The past life experience itself is going to connect you to your higher self, and it's going to be facilitated. So the person doing the facilitator is going to know the best way to connect you to your higher self. It's really not necessary for you to try to do it.
I would be inclined to answer this in the same way, because
Couldn't hurt,
I
but
and
that wouldn't necessarily help.
it definitely won't hurt, but I think a lot of the times when people reach out for past life regression, it is sometimes it's their first foray into connecting with their higher self. Often people have never meditated before even, whereas if we are very much into meditating already, I personally started out meditating before I discovered past lives. So, and that connection with your higher self is also extraordinary. But yeah, definitely you don't need to have to do that prior or have done it prior to having past life regression, because as Dr. Bruce said, it's literally what we're going to be doing, connecting with your higher self / that's your soul. We have another question here from Sandy. Oh no. Oh, it's just a comment. Okay, this is Sandy's comment. Sandy was on a live Zoom call with Dr. Toni, with me and a few other people, and I clearly saw 2 of my past lives and shared in the group. I have full trust in the information being very beneficial. Sandy, yes. Hi. We did recently, I have been doing a few workshops, online workshops, but they were live, where we talked about the benefits of exploring your past lives, and also how and why we do it. And then I guide the participants into past lives usually twice. So Sandy was there on that, and a lot of people seem to get a lot of information in there. So it's been wonderful. Sandy, thanks for commenting like that. And there we go. That's good. And Karen, I think that's your thank you there. You're welcome. Thank you for asking your questions. It's been wonderful. What I'd like to do now is just recap on Dr. Bruce and my intention with these lives. We have so much to share with you. We have so many topics that we can talk about, and we have so many case studies that we can refer to. And also, Dr. Bruce is very well versed with the work that other people have done researching reincarnation and past lives, and he has his dictionary that he did extensive research for. So what we want to let you know is most likely fortnightly we're going to come on and do these lives so that you can interact with us, you can ask your questions, and you can do it in the moment with us. Plus we will have guests that will come on and share their story, and some of them will be specialists, some of them will be our clients who are willing to share what happened to them or for them or what they experienced. So we would like to let you know that we really want you to come join us on these lives. We should get on at the time that we say in future because it's running along smoothly now. And we'll be on YouTube, Dr. Bruce's Facebook group and my Facebook group. So we'll stream there each time. You'll be able to join us from any of those platforms. All of the links I will include to our books and our websites, emails. And of course, you can contact us on social media as well, if you wish. And actually, just before I finish up, I would like to say that Robin, who was on here today, posed some very interesting questions before we went live. So a few days ago, actually. So I'd like to just read them out just before we go. So her question was, do you think that each life we experience here has a new or different main purpose for each incarnation? And Dr. Bruce, would you like to answer to that?
Yes, I believe it does. I believe there may be an overriding soul purpose. There may or may not be an overriding soul purpose for our entirety of lives, but I think each new life that we have, it does have a separate purpose, a separate reason.
Yeah, Robin, I'm the same. I do believe that each life has a particular purpose and it's different each time. Since we've been here so many times, we may have done the same thing again or before, and that's
There
how
may
when you
overlap.
explore
There
a
may
past life,
there may be
you
overlap.
answers.
There may
Yes,
be overlap. Yeah.
sometimes they overlap.
Well,
But certainly each life has a main purpose, and it's not what people think. People think, my observation is people believe that purpose is a destination or it's something that they're going to achieve in that lifetime or something that they're going to be successful at. But actually, the purpose is every minute of every day. But each life you come in, you have certain characteristics. You can't change them either. You're born with certain characteristics and traits, and because of those, there will be insecurities aligned with those characteristics and traits, and that the purpose of life will be to work through those. And it's really about living life. That's the purpose of life, to live it and to come to understand ourselves, and I guess be tolerant of ourselves and those around us. To some extent, that's the purpose of every life. Yes. And the soul contract, Rocco's put in the comments there, is certainly what we would deem, Dr. Bruce, I'm not sure what you call it, but a blueprint, a life map. But
script.
the script, Dr. Bruce called it
Living not too far from Hollywood, I tend to use those particular terms. Yeah.
Yeah. So that script, that soul contract, that blueprint is set before we come in, and it has a purpose every single time, usually different to what we've done before. though it may also be the same. Hence why when you recall a past life, it will make sense to you now and you'll recognize the feeling, that kind of thing.
Just before we go, just one thing I want to say on that. I have a package of sessions that I do with my clients. I may do 3, 4, 5 sessions, and they're all directed towards a different purpose, a different goal. It's a different type of regression. But from session to session, now when I think about it, I don't hear the same thing. Each session, because each lifetime will be different. And when I ask them what was your purpose, their purpose will always be different.
Yes, it's true. It's true. I suppose when people are coming for past life regression now, it's for this life. Therefore, they're only shown what's going to be helpful for now. And that would be why when they have multiple sessions or see multiple past lives, that there'll be different aspects shown to them. Yeah. Robin went further. Since we started this, we'll just finish it. And she went on to say, do you think a particular purpose carries through many lives until that lesson or message is understood and usefully added to the soul toolkit? Can I say, I don't believe it's our soul growing. From what I understand, the soul is already pure. It's already grown. It already is everything. The human experience is for a human experience. So we're coming here to have an experience rather than to keep rehashing learning and lessons. So it feels like we're having lessons within the lifetime. It feels like it because we do the same thing over and over again, part of the human experience. But it's us in that lifetime where the growth happens. And there's a saying that I like to say, what goes on in this life stays in this life. So it's not about Robbins also said, or maybe such lessons are completed in the afterlife and replay with the council. But that even when we visit the council between lives, that is also for this life. So anything that council tells us in the between life stage is for now.
Because all time is
Will
one.
still be understood in this lifetime, whatever's going on. Yeah.
Because all time is one, past, present, and future. On the other side is one.
Yes, indeed it is. Whoa. So we can get into between lives in another show as well, another live. And yeah, I guess for today, I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us. And it's been wonderful. Please gather your questions for next show. Next one we're going to discuss is going to be, why do we reincarnate? To experience or to learn? And that'll be our caveat, or that will be our theme. If you have any questions, please note them. Let us know them before, or even better, come to the live and post them so that we can interact with you. And we will post another event so that you know when that will be. Most likely it will be this time in 2 weeks' time. Same time, 2 weeks away. Yeah.
And I just, before we close, I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Coco.
I think she's still there.
This.
I'm going to put her on.
Thank you, Coco.
Welcome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shay. I just saw your comment as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Coco. So we thank you very much for joining us. Loving your comments there. It will be lovely for us to get really even deeper and deeper. We can get pretty intense with this stuff, and when we get really settled into these lives, I'm sure that we're going to explore some really intriguing.
You have our mutual contact information, so just please tell us what you like to hear us talk about.
Yeah, that'll be great. Woohoo, big stuff to think about. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, Shay.
Thank you, Toni.
For now, we shall sign off.
Bye-bye now.
Bye, everyone.